Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. So I have one of the stray kitties. He's like, quit holding me. Here you go. They're currently visiting right now. That one is actually really sweet, so I know he's not going to rip my face off, even though he was irritated with me. And I had that chance to show you because he'll probably be slinking back out the door here in a minute. But there's 3 of them in here right now. All right, let's see. What are we up to? People were, you guys talking about the location of the kidneys. Now, it's interesting because I'm hearing an opposite story here than I remember. Because what I remember is the kidneys were below the rib cage in the lower back. And that's why they had a thing called a kidney punch for martial arts, where you'd smack people in the kidneys and it could cause kidney damage. So if you were in a real fight, that would be good. But if you were in a MMA fight or something, that used to be illegal to hit there, because don't want to cause permanent damage to one of the opponents. But then the kidneys slunk up so that they're mostly under the rib cage. And then right around then, suddenly there was an announcement that that was no longer an illegal hit in MMA. And I don't even know if I could find that now, but we did talk about that in Recon, that isn't that a coincidence? Where they suddenly decided there's no reason for that rule because the kidneys ain't there. But if you talk to a lot of the old school fighters, they will still consider that lower back hit as a kidney punch, even though there ain't no kidneys there. Okay, so apparently some of you remember the kidneys being higher and having come back down, and I don't know what to tell you, but I'm from a different timeline. And yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. You know what? I literally, it snuck up on me so bad this year that I was like, why are people saying happy Thanksgiving? When's it coming? And then I'm like, oh, that's tomorrow. So I do have something scheduled on Sunday for some dinner, but everybody was busy and nobody cares. And I swear everything goes so fast now. Nobody has time to fiddle-faddle around with the holidays anymore. It just seems like. So, yeah, it was back here, and I remember when I was in a Tai Chi class a long time ago, they would have you thump back there lightly, not enough to cause injury, to kind of stimulate the kidneys was one of the moves. Now the kidneys aren't even there, so I don't know. If I went back to the class, it probably wouldn't even be one of the moves, and never has been. But you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, Why are the kidneys in the middle of the... Okay, never mind. Where exactly are they anyway? That wasn't on the list for today, so I don't have it spooled up. Kidney location. Looks like all the little kitties have slunk out. There was 3 of them in here earlier. Sometimes they just zoom in, they say hi, and then 5 minutes later they're gone. That big black one I just held up, that was the original guy who started it all. Kidneys. All right, according to this one, they're all up under the rib cage. Now, last time I checked, there was... Let me scoot this over. There was still a little of them sticking out under the rib cage, but I think since then, the rib cage itself is actually a little lower than it was before, so that might be part of it. Okay, according to this image, it's all the way under the rib cage. All right, according to this image, it's got still a tiny bit under. Nobody knows what the anatomy is anymore. Okay, here's an actual... Okay, is that the kidney there then? What happened to the one over here? Maybe there's something wrong with this side. But that does look like it's fully encased. They're probably going to say there's individual variation these days anyways, because that covers a lot. Well, one kidney is bigger than the other kidney now, because the right kidney, why is it showing them different sizes? The greater and lesser splanchnick nerve. Okay, wait. Are they the same size? Are kidneys, I can't spell, the same size? Are both kidneys the same size, I should say. Left kidney is larger than the right kidney, according to multiple studies. The left kidney tends to be slightly larger and have a larger volume. The size difference is generally considered normal and does not typically indicate a pathological condition. It's also important to remember that when the left kidney may be slightly larger, both kidneys are essential, blah, blah, blah. All right. I just think it's interesting that they showed that image there of the different sizes. That might be sneaking in. See, that's the other thing. They used to be next to each other, and now I'm seeing a lot of images of one being higher than the other and stuff. When did that show up? They used to just be new. I mean, like, hello. That one has a different shape. What the heck, people? Look at the shape. The shape's all weird. Kidneys don't have kidney bean shape so much anymore because there's like that extra lumps. Now, it used to be just one lump, but now it almost looks like there's two weird little stomach lumps in them. Kidneys. Yeah, it looks like there's... Okay, so yeah, always changing. For some reason, YouTube sent me Three Stooges promos, and Curly was never bald. Wait a minute. I know at least one of them was bald. Three Stooges. I think he had like a couple of tiblets of hair. Like there was just, I mean, it was a chrome dome with a couple of residual hairs. That was it, you know, like. And see, he looks. Where no, no, that's not right. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. No. 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 Okay, that is a good fight. There is no way. He did not have, now he just has a little male part and baldness, but he has full hair. No. What load is this? What is this? No! They're not even claiming they shaved his head. It would have been one thing if they said, you know, he had hair, but we shaved it. This is a load. Oh, come on. No, 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 no. No. Look at that. He had hair and a lot of it. No, 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 no. No, that is completely wrong. See, I have my oven mitt in case the tiny one that I'm trying to train shows up. That guy's a little scrappy, so we're going to train that kitten with an oven mitt just in case he decides to smack me a few times. This is a complete load. I'm sorry. Timeline. This is a good find. Okay. Oh, that's too funny. That is an excellent find. I totally give you credit for that one. it was not the curly guy, and it wasn't. This is Mo. It was this guy. This guy was the one because I remember that hair. And that's Mo, right? Bowl cut. I think this is curly. One of them was freaking bald, and it was this guy. This is the guy that was bald, because he had the goofy curly hair. Is he actually curly? I can't remember. He has the curly hair, but now I don't really remember. Which one was Larry? I think it was Larry that was bald, unless that's Larry. It was this guy, though, the fat guy. As I remember this guy's hair, and that is about right. He does look maybe like he has more of a chrome dome than I recall, but I know that one had that crazy curly hair. This is so wrong. So it was this dude. He was a chrome dome. That is so ridiculous. Does anybody remember that guy having hair? I'm curious. Three were bald, hence the name. I'm not finding any images of any bald. I am positive that one of the characters out of the three was always bald, though. There was never one with, like, a crew cut. Or, what do they call it now, anyway? I just remember it called a crew cut. Like a really short military cut. There was never one with a really short military cut. Now, if you want to say, oh, maybe you just didn't know about it, we've looked at the Larry Curly Moe ones a number of times. They were higher. So Jackie remembers the kidneys high in the rib cage and then going down. So that's opposite for me. I am absolutely positive the lower back was the kidney punch. The doctor in that video said sometimes he finds a kidney in that location while doing surgery, but usually they're high up in the rib cage. I don't know if I'd say high. They're just under the rib cage now. I mean, they're not like way up in there, but it's a lot higher than it was. Now, I've definitely, since this whole thing started with the kidneys sneaking under the rib cage, we've definitely have heard the story that occasionally one is found in a different spot. But no, it was called the kidney punch because that's where the kidneys were located. I have a Halloween oven mitt. This oven mitt has never been used for the oven. It is only for cats. I actually just use a little towel for the oven. I mean, frankly, now I swear to God, it is just not nearly so hot in the oven. I mean, you put it 375, and I mean, like, I'll cook something at 375, carve off a piece, and stuff it right into my mouth. No burning of the mouth. I used to have to blow on it for minutes before I would dare do that. Food, you can't even bring it steaming to the table because 10 seconds after it's out of the oven, the steam is done. There's just something totally different about how the heat transfers and all that now than the old days. So yeah, this mitt is because certain cats that I'm attempting to train. I've only got one left that I'm trying to train, and he's not full grown, and he is a little scrappy thing. So he's not like, the thing is, the rule here is if he wants to eat food, I get to touch him. Right now I'm just touching him with the oven mitt, but he still sits there and acts like he's dying of leprosy because he's being touched, and then he'll suddenly decide he's enough, smack the oven mitt one time and jump away. He's not really going for it, but I don't want to get any little tiny punctures or anything. So we'll see. I've trained all the other cats. 6 cats were trained using that method. One was already really sweet, that first black one. And I have one holdout. But I have improved some of my methods since then and made some faster progress on that little one. So we'll see. I'm just going to see how far I can get. I don't know. Can I train all of them with it? Or will it fail? I don't know. I have to say, I never thought that I would train 6 cats doing it, and 2 of them were adults. And these 2 adults train faster than that scrappy kitten, so that just goes to show how scrappy he is. Mouth heat resistance and finger heat resistance is totally different. Why? I definitely thought that might be it, but it also clearly has to do something with the heat transfer before I even touch it, because the steam stops coming up very quickly now too. It used to be you'd have a hot steaming thing brought to your table 5 minutes after it's out of the oven. They could plate it all and bring it out, and steam be coming up, and it doesn't happen like that. It can't. And I think I mentioned before that I had seen kind of a spate of complaints on restaurant reviews saying they used to bring out the food hot, but now they don't anymore. I don't think that they've changed their procedures at all. You just can't get it out that fast. It's a similar problem with tea, like you almost need like to set it on a little hot plate all the time, because the tea, you can't even finish it unless you're like slurping it back. It's cold before you're even made any progress. Okay, he was called Curly because he was bald. All right. So the one with the actual curly hair, that was Larry. That does sound right. So Curly was bald. I know there was a bald one, and it was that fat one. I just don't remember if it was what his name was actually. Shemp. I don't think any of them were bald, though. The Three Stooges with Shemp. My brother loved this crap. And, Shemp, Mo, and Larry. See? No, I don't think I had Shemp. I don't remember this character at all. But obviously he had tons of hair, so he wasn't bald. It was this one. I never saw any episodes with this guy in it in my whole life until recently. I heard of this guy. So I don't think I had this guy. In fact, this is kind of creepy. He doesn't look anything like this guy. This guy was the bald one, and it was the only one. So, yeah, I'm definitely not thinking of Shemp. Oh, my God. Actually... That's pretty bizarre. When people said there was another one called Shemp, I guess I figured he looked similar, but he doesn't look anything like the other ones at all. It was this guy, and he was effing bald. Okay, well, all right. We beat that horse. Anyway, I clearly am 100% that it was Shemp that's the weird one that I did not have. I never saw any of them with Shemp. It was just those other 3. Yeah, they slapped Curly on the head. It was for sure that one, that with the crew cut, he was the baldy. I don't like, I hate to be mean, it's a thing I don't care for, is baldness. Like, I love hair, and I think it's because I'm not really good at recognizing faces, and I use the hair a lot, and if you don't have it, then that really sticks out. But he had a chrome dome, but a little bit of hair in the front. I don't know how that worked, but I just remember that little like wisp of like 2 molecules of hair that didn't fall out. So here's the thing I have to say. When I was a kid, there wasn't that much stuff on TV. You didn't have much choice. There was no internet, and it was just the same stuff. They didn't have bajillion years of content that they could go back to like they do now also. So basically, the same stuff would be on and over and over and over. I didn't even really care for Larry, Curly, and Mo, but there was nothing else to watch. So it's like, well, you're going to watch them, you're going to watch Popeye. Well, I like Popeye even less, so I will watch it. And my brother would watch it, like, over and over. So you saw, like, we would see the same episode, like, 20 effing times. Because there was nothing else on that you liked. And my brother liked it, I might add. So literally, I would watch the episodes. I'm like, I already know everything that's going to happen in this episode. So it's just kind of hard for me to believe that somehow I never saw Shemp, even though I saw all the other ones like 20 times. And it's like that for a lot of stuff. The eye poke block better still be there. All right, somebody watch that show and find out, because I just didn't like it enough to hardly watch it the first time. But there's irony on a lot of this stuff. I'm like, I saw it a million times and I didn't even like it. I don't think I like shows where there's a lot of like stuff that looks painful and stuff, because I just feel like every time I see it, I'm like, ow, that looks like it hurts, and then I feel. And I think I feel too much empathy to watch those shows. Like, it's just like, oh, that would suck. I don't think it's that funny. I like the practical jokes that don't look quite so horrible and painful. You make a weird sound and they can't figure out where the sound's coming from or something. That makes me laugh. But not like when there's like horrible embarrassment or you got your eye poked or something. I just can't quite enjoy those the same. I think that's why I didn't like it. Slapstick, okay, but not too slappy and not too sticky. Ducky doesn't want to watch Black. I know I wasn't into the black and white either. You know what? They will probably colorize it really soon, because everything's coming out colorized now. I saw Green Acres now. I know Green Acres was in black and white. So either they colorized it or it was never in black and white. I'm actually going to check right now, because it suddenly occurs to me. So since we have Roku now, Dave's been watching some of those old shows. And Green Acres came on. And I remember watching it some. But it was definitely, interesting. It was definitely black and white. Originally aired in color, but some episodes were syndicated in black and white during the 1980s. What a load! Why would you syndicate it in black and white? This is a fucking, sorry. Pardon my French. This is baloney. They came out in color, but then they syndicated them in black and white. They were always black and white until recently. None of them were intentionally. What a load. Syndicated in black and white. Why on anything for Mandela to try to cover its tracks? In the early 80s, a syndicated version of the pilot episode of Green Acres was shown. No. All of them were in black and white. This was despite the fact that the original episode was produced and aired in color in 1965. Why would that doesn't even make any sense. That is so lame. Other episodes of the show were still broadcast in color. Okay, so it's always been in color except for one episode. Okay, well anyway, it was actually surprisingly funny. I haven't seen it in so long. I mean, it's not the best show ever, but considering how old it is. All right, so I'm calling Mandela on Green Acres, too. Green Acres was in black and white. Okay, what's that other show? Dang, what was the name of that show? That was also in black and white. It was the backwoods people family who found the oil and then moved to Hollywood. What was that thing? That old show. What was it called again? Oh my God, I should know this. From the ground came a bubbling crude. La, na, 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 na. What was that show? I wonder if that one is still Beverly Hillbillies. That's it. I can't believe I forgot that. Beverly Hillbillies. Hillbillies. I know that was black and white. Black and white. Is it still black and white? I see. Initially aired in black and white for its first 3 seasons. Okay. All right. I will accept that. I actually like that one a little better than like some of the others, so I did watch that one. You got to realize there wasn't a lot of shows back then. Oh yeah, the Beverly Hillbillies. Well, what is a legit show? It's a real show that aired for a long time. Green Acres was black and white. Later seasons changed to color. Not according to what I just looked up. According to what I just looked up for Green Acres, it was never black and white, except for one syndication of one episode only one time, where it was filmed in color, then syndicated in black and white for one episode, and then back to color, which makes no sense. If you shot something in color, you're not going to air it in black and white later. Nobody's going to do that. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, so understand that the Beverly Hillbillies, first of all, I think that the hillbilly term comes from America. It's just backwoods people. Okay, the show is a comedy, and it was kind of corny. So, like, you know, it was exaggerated a fair bit, and there was just a lot of goofy gags and stuff in it. So, keep that in mind is all I'm saying, because, all right, let's see. I mean, that's not like the real America. It's sort of like Larry, Curly, and Moe. I mean, that's not like really 3 guys that actually acted like that. It's an exaggeration. They did have some... One thing about these old shows, though, that was kind of cool is that you would think that they're just making fun of hillbillies, but a lot of times they were very good at making fun of everybody, because they would make fun of where hillbillies didn't make sense and were being silly, but then the city folks would also have a bunch of ridiculous stuff they did where the hillbillies were just common sense, logical, and they would call that out. And so it was a lot more even tempered than as far as making fun of everybody evenly, so the hillbillies could watch it, enjoy it. The city folks could also laugh at it. People would call each other out more and enjoy it more back in those days. All right, so this one is a bizarre one, okay? So somebody I know I was chatting with, DIY, you know who you are, thank you, the other day, and she said she was kind of confused, I would guess the word is, surprised that, like, suddenly there was a bunch of flies in the house, and it's not fly season where she lives because it's winter. And she's like, where are all these flies coming from? So you're kind of like, well, what the heck, you know? I mean, how can they are they like breeding somewhere in the house or whatever? So her husband's like, oh yeah, well, they were probably just dormant in the house, and they had turned on the heater, I guess, kind of warm. And he's all, yeah, they were just dormant in the house and they woke up. And she's like, what? And so he's like, yeah. So I guess he's somebody who definitely is new timeline or took the download or what. But he's like, yeah, everybody knows that could happen. And she's like, what? First of all, she did not know it could happen. Second of all, she had no experience with it happening. And she's not some young kid, you know. So it's like, I think I would have noticed if this ever happened before. So she looks it up, and yes, so apparently flies... You know all those dead flies that are in your windowsill because maybe you didn't vacuum them out and they got there and then they died because they die after a couple days or something? Well, they may not all be dead. They could be just dormant. They're just sleeping. So like now the story is, they go by the window and then it's kind of chilly. And so they go dormant and they'll just lay there for a month or two until you turn on the heater, and then they'll all wake up. Oh, I'm warm again. And now there's suddenly flies everywhere. Like all the flies from like 3 months that went near the window and got cold and went to sleep, now I'll spring into action and fly around your house. And it's like, what are you talking about? Um, so they call it diapause. Now I've heard this term coming up a lot, where they just kind of, it's like a dormancy, but it's like temperature related, hibernation like state. Houseflies can enter a hibernation like state and wait out the winter. This state, referred to as diapause, is a different form of dormancy from hibernation because flies slow down their development process and reduce their metabolic activity instead of going into a deep sleep. Most vertebrates that hibernate won't break their sleep cycle, but with flies and diapause, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, probably not. If the temperature increases, they will snap out of it and begin to become active again. So you turn up the heater and now you get a bunch of flies. I actually did kind of notice this because, so what happens is this winter kicks in, it gets colder and colder and colder and colder, and at some point you went, I'm freezing, I'm turning on the heater. And then a lot of times the heater will kick it back even warmer than it's been for like a month, right? So then all the flies wake up, I guess. And I had noticed this because we turned on the heater like a few weeks ago, and there were like suddenly some flies. And I was like, where did these effing flies come from? Because we don't have a lot of flies near me anyway, because there's not any really close livestock. We don't currently have a dog. It's just not, we're not in the city. So the city tends to have a lot of flies because there's garbage everywhere. If you live out in the country and there's not many animals, you don't have many flies. So yeah, that was weird. And they came in this weird, I remember thinking, I'm like, didn't think about it too hard, but now I get it. It was this thing. And this is the first winter that this has happened, I think. Because this is the first time I saw these weird flies, and then she saw them. So yeah, flies. So, okay, house flies here. This is America. Okay, they're pretty big. They're buzzy, bzzz. And they're like, they used to be pitch black, but lately, then in recent years, they kind of turned a little gray, and they have some, if you really look at them, they have some like iridescent sheen and stuff. They didn't used to have that. It used to be just black, but that's kind of an older Mandela. And I don't think many people noticed because the switch was so slow. They look the same. They sound the same. They act the same, except for this diapause thing. But, yeah, they didn't used to have iridescent wings, but now their whole body has slight iridescent. And I mean, it could vary from place to place, but I have lived the same place long enough that I'm pretty sure they just changed. I have new sweet bees in my yard. Feels electric when they brush against you. That's weird. Sweet bees. Is that really a thing, officially, or you're just noticing it? I mean, like, why would they? I guess their bees are so slow. All right, sense the electric fields of flowers. Bees can sense it. Okay, they can sense charge on the flower. I'm not finding anything that has to do with what you're describing. Not that it's not there, but sometimes you don't have the right search terms, especially with search engines these days. March flies. I've never heard of March flies. Yeah, I don't know what those are. So for us, the houseflies are big. They're big, buzzy things. They're kind of that classic bzzz sound, like they're noisy, but they're not like wasps or anything. They're kind of slow, too. Like a lot of insects, you try to swat them, it's hard to get them, but the big flies are slow. Attracted to carbon dioxide? I don't know, like, I think isn't that supposed to be mosquitoes? All right. Well, I don't know about the Mandelas for Australia as much, but I can tell you that there has been some new upgrades in the horse coloration. Ran into this the other day. What a trip. Okay, so I followed this horse guy a lot, and he mentioned like this horse lacing on the back, and I'm like, what? I have looked at so many horse videos over the last couple years. It's insane. And then this shows up. So apparently now, like, these horses, they just get this speckled pattern on their back. Like, at any time in their life, they can suddenly just form the speckled pattern. And sometimes they call it reverse dappling, or lacing. And then they're like, well, it could be genetic. It could be related to the vitiligo. It could be from some irritation of the skin. It could be this. It could be that. It's no big deal. Every now and then also all these spots. That's another form of it. They just suddenly, your horse turns polka dots. And that's also it. Look at this guy. He just got polka dots. So it's just crazy town, the horse colors. So I can't quite figure out if this is it or not, or is it like another, I think this is a regular coat pattern, but when I pull up horse lacing, which is this, then it pulls up that other stuff, and I'm thinking that's probably not the same thing, but it's almost like it's blending into be the same thing. It's usually has bilateral symmetry, which means it's the same pattern on one side as the other, which I think is really weird, because if it was just some kind of autoimmune thing, it shouldn't be like, you know, this one is actually abnormal in that it is not exactly the same on one side to the other. But of course it's going to be a lot more beautiful if the two patterns on each side match. And I have commented before that when vitiligo does that, I find it very strange that it does that. But if you look at it from the perspective of the Mandela conforming to the desires and aesthetic preferences of humans, then it's not that weird at all. Okay, so like this one, they're calling this lacing. Let me just click on this thing. But see, then now there's no explanation. I don't think this is actually the lacing that I'm referring to, but you can see how the terminology is scrambling it all together. 10 lacing horses. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but this is total baloney. But suddenly it's showing up everywhere, even on this horse that this guy has. Here's another weird one. Now, this cat that I was training here has this weird pattern, but I've never seen it on a horse. It's crazy town. Look at this thing. There's so many weird patterns now. I was covering before how they were getting those like tiger stripes on the legs. And I thought that was pretty wild. But now, I mean, we're going to get every kind of color, I guess. Okay, so the official name is leukotrichia. And sometimes they're saying humans have it. So that they're like reticulated is... They're calling it a skin disorder, but they say sometimes it's genetic and there's no problems affecting quarter horses, thoroughbreds, and standardbreds. A broken or wavy line of depigmentation down the top line of these horses. Now, this is AI, so you gotta be a little careful, but as far as I can tell, this is basically correct. The whole thing is kind of loosey-goosey as far as chasing down the definition. There's no wiki. Like, okay, they had lacing and all this weird, crazy coloration forever, but there's no wiki for it. Spotted leukotrichia, variation of vitiligo. So just basically spots everywhere. Hyper-aesthetic leukotrichia. It's funny because they call it hyper-aesthetic, but actually they're saying this is like a painful form where it like hurts. But usually it just settles back down and then the horse is fine and then they just keep the coloration, but there's no irritation on the skin. So humans can get this also then, and so it seems like it's mostly like the weird pattern is in the hair, and when it's on horses they call it lacing. That's about as much as I could figure out so far. Purple horses, I know, I know. Where's the horn? I want to see the horn on the single horn for the unicorn. There's the one video of a spider. You can see its pupils move. Wait, do spiders have pupils now? Have pupils. Yes, spiders have pupils. Their eyes are simple, non-compound eyes. They have pupil-like structure, often referred to as a pupil or iris. The structure is composed of a pigmented ring, which helps regulate the amount of light. Yeah, now that you mention it, I've never actually seen anything in a spider that looked like a pupil. That does look like a pupil, though. Oh, my God. Ew, 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 ew. You know, what is it I have to have spiders on, like, all the time? Alright, so you can't see it that much yet, except for that one image, which I don't know if it's real. But it kind of sounds like if you've seen it, this is phasing in. Curly-haired horses, that's another weird one, yeah. Curly pigs. Horse coloration is so much more interesting than it used to be. Yep. And they change colors now. You get a baby one, you get like a full, and then next year it's another color, and then it's another color, and then it's, I'm like, you don't even know what color. It's like 2 years old and you don't know what color it's going to be, and then it's just, no rainbow horses yet. Yeah, they're saying spiders do not have compound eyes. I actually remember only flies had compound eyes, and then everything and its uncle had compound eyes. But I don't remember even being able to really see the eyes on a spider. They were just so tiny. They were like nothing. Now they got all these eyes on the stalks and all this. Yeah, that's been a while now that they were doing that, though. Okay, this is a little thing I just wanted to say because this is getting so normalized now. I guess every winter we're going to have a whole bunch of Northern Lights opportunities. So, I mean, how many of these have we had already this year? Many northern states of the United States will have another chance to see the aurora now. Much of the following states are best positioned for potential auroras, but they also say it could be further south. You don't know. Washington, Montana, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Maine. Northern parts of Idaho, Wyoming, New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire may also see auroras. Okay, they're currently blaming it on the sunspot cycle, but the story for the sunspot cycle changes all the time, and I am definitely old enough to have been through enough sunspot cycles to know that there is no way that we used to see auroras. And I used to live in Northern California, and we never could see auroras. Never. That was like way up at the poles. You'd be on like the North Pole or something. That's why people would fly to the North Pole to see it. Now the North Pole ain't even there, and then we got all these auroras. Crazy town. Just crazy town. All right, so this is totally normalized. I guess it's only a matter of time before it gets all the way to Southern Cal, but... All right, so Jackie brought this one up, and she saw this one called Nilgiri Langur, and I have never heard of Nilgiri Langur, but she said, oh, the tail on this beast is so long. So I'm not arguing this. I know that monkeys had long tail, but come on, people. They weren't that long. All right, so I thought that was pretty weird. But then I realized that, like, all them langurs are getting stupid long tails. All right. but they get longer than that. I don't think even that's a Nilgiri. So I saw, well, let's see. Okay, so I look at this one. Gray Langer. They didn't have a tail that long. I'm sorry. No. And it's like so even like it's it's just like a rope. And you know what? There's these they're using these. I mean, come on. I mean, they can actually they got like tentacles now basically. This is not a tail anymore. This is a tentacle. And they wrap this around stuff. Look at that. That's just ridiculous. All right, that one is not as long, but I mean, a bunch of these langurs now. This is ridiculous. 13, oh, let's see what the 13 most spectacular Asian monkey species are. Dusky. All right, I've had that one on. Javan. I don't think I've had Javan on. Okay, these guys got the long tails. Hanuman. So a bunch of these are getting the long tails. This is the Nilgiri, which I don't remember either. This one's been on. I have a feeling these are really long too. We've had these on with those weird noses. Lion-tailed. I've had those on, but I think they look even weirder now. All right, so let's see. There was a few others on here. Monkey long tail. Let's just do that and see what else we dig up besides the gray and the Nilgiri. Spider monkey. Oh my god. That thing is next level. That's like nightmare fuel. I'm sorry. Look at the size of the hand. The hand is bigger than the head. I haven't looked at spider monkeys in a while. That's next level. All right, let's look at this guy. Whatever that thing is. This is like ridiculous. All right, that one's not so bad. What about this guy? Red tail. Yeah. I don't think I've had... He looks like he has fur on his nose. Red-tailed monkey. Okay, let's try this red-tailed monkey thing. Red-tailed monkey. I think I need to get rid of pupils first. Oh, yeah. They have... I don't think I've had him on. He has fur on his nose. They do. They have fur on their nose. Look at... This guy has not been on. Black-cheeked, white-nosed monkey. What the eh? Yeah, that guy's new. Red-tailed monkey. I'm putting that on. I don't think we've had them on, but if we have, they did not have a fuzzy white nose. That's crazy town. Yeah, no way. Well, it almost looks like it's purple at the end. Oh, that is a long tail, too. Look at that thing. All right, so I call baloney on you. Wait. Go back. Wait, I'm supposed to be back here. All right, what else we got? I mean, images like that used to be an exaggeration, but now they're just realistic. I don't... is that real? It might be. I don't know. It looks crazy. Oh, the tail is so fat on that one. It's interesting because a lot of these just don't. Black long tail. See, I think we've had these on, but I don't remember the face hair being that long at all. I think these have grown out their face hair considerably since the first time we've had these on. And they've got this weird dent at the top now, which I don't remember. What the hell is that thing? That's the same thing? These guys have... I looked at them like some months ago and I didn't see many changes, but suddenly they're all looking quite a bit different, or almost all of them. What is this thing? Philippine long-tailed. With like weird girl parts. Oh, I don't think they look quite that crazy. We've had Colobus on before, but no, wait, come on. Okay, I remember this part, but this tail, this giant poofy tail thing, I don't remember this fringes and this. We had the face on, but not all that. Come on! I didn't realize how crazy it's getting. This is crazy town. And these tails, they are like, look at the wrapping skills, even though they're so long. They're the ultimate tentacles. All right, Bali longtail monkey. That might be kind of all I can find. There's not a lot of actual images of the tail in these. Maybe I'll just put tail and see what we get. Snob monkey. Snob monkey. It seems like there's new monkeys, because I've not heard of snob monkey. Is that really a name? Snob monkey limited. Maybe not. Okay, that is Snob Monkey Limited. It's not actual. What kind of monkey is that then? That's just crazy. So, it really is looking like a spider now. I mean, it kind of did before, but it really does now. TT monkeys. What the heck is that? TT monkey. Man, I haven't heard of any of these, hardly. I haven't heard of like half of them. TT monkey. TT monkey. Yeah, I think this is another one. New one. Red TT monkey. So somewhere recently, there's been like this huge, I guess that's the butts and the tails of 4 of them. There's been a huge like upgrade in the monkey department. Fern monkey. Let's check out fern monkey. Fern monkey. Oh, no. Okay. That's a fern. I mean, they wrapped around the branch before, but they weren't like... They weren't so long. It just seems like they wouldn't be that strong at that length because they were more like a reasonable length, but it looks like they're just as strong. And the curl, yeah, it's... You're right. There wasn't like this weird... And some of them kind of taper and stuff. Milk frogs have a cross in their eyes. I don't think I knew milk frogs. Milk. Let me look at them and see. Milk frogs. Oh, I see what you mean, like with that. Okay, I didn't know milk frogs, so I can't say that they've changed or not, but yeah. Everything's got weird eyes now. There was, like a lot of the weird birds. Yeah, I think the thickness is like the same, but they just were half as long. I mean, literally only half as long, so it just didn't seem as crazy. Like, your fingers grab something, it doesn't seem that weird, but now when your fingers are 10 foot long and they still have the same grabbing power, it just seems like more weird. Yeah, some of these, I haven't even seen these. I think that's a stuffed animal, yeah, but still. What is that? Baby. We have baby Anuri monkey tail skinks. All right, those are skinks. So that's the body and that's the head. Okay, it's not that weird, but there's a lot more skinks now too, like a lot. Monkey. I think we've had these on. I remember the mohawk. Black howler. I don't think we've had these on. Dang, the expressions on these things. It seems like there's a bunch more now. What is this? I have not seen this. I don't even know what this thing is. The expression on it. What is this? Is that real? That's a spider monkey again? Maybe this is fake. Okay, I think that's real. Oh, AI is definitely causing problems across the board, though. We've had these on, but I think these bumps are a lot bigger than they were the first time. Yeah, AI across the board. It's getting so close, it's starting to... This one I'm almost positive is AI. Yeah, there's no head. There's no body. But some of the AI is getting so close that it's getting very hard to tell. Okay, I'm pretty sure that one's... It's more extreme than it was. All right, we can go on forever with these, I know. AI is disaster. Well, I don't know. You know, maybe it's just going to spawn more change. I think I've just decided what's happening is what's supposed to happen and just chill out about it more. Even though it's irritating when I'm trying to sort stuff out, but maybe, you know, it all has its purpose. All right, what is this? Blah, blah. We've already done this one. Crazy Tales. Okay, this is another one. Jackie found this one. Seriously, orcas have begun wearing salmon hats again. Salmon hats. So I guess they take salmon and they put them on their head. And then the story is that in the 80s, they were wearing salmon hats. And then they kind of got tired of it and stopped. And then now they're... So, like, here's an image. This is a salmon on his head. And they're just... In the 80s, orcas adopted a fishy fashion trend. They started wearing salmon as hats. With the sophisticated social structures and intricate behaviors of orcas, these marine animals often exhibit an uncanny resemblance to our own species. They participate in cultural phenomena that sweep through their communities, mirroring the collective behaviors we often associate with our societal trends. One of the most bewildering of these is the renowned salmon hat trend that made waves during the summer of '87. I don't know, anybody remember the renowned salmon hat trend of the orcas? As I sure as heck don't. Uh, 87, a fad took hold. They began sporting dead salmon atop their heads, quickly becoming popular across various groups. This salmon hat behavior doesn't seem to offer any practical benefits, leaving researchers perplexed. How do you even, when you're swimming through the water, keep a salmon on your head, like, without a string or anything? I don't even see how you could, I mean, how much work would it be to, like, you don't have hands, you don't have it tied on. How do you keep a salmon on your head? This trend lasted 5 to 6 weeks. The trend suddenly came to a halt and since sporadically recurred in subsequent years. Orcas reflect the intelligent equivalent of a 15-year-old human. Since when? There's equivalent of a 15-year-old? It was to be like a 5-year-old, not 15-year-old. That's crazy town. I would want to see that verified, but who the heck knows anymore. New orca trend involve interactions with boats bumping hulls and damaging rudders. Yeah, I have covered that one. Orcas wearing salmon hats. Now that's obviously copy pasted on, but the salmon hat fad. So I do remember there was like seals with like snakes up their nose. That was a couple years ago, but I don't remember anything about the salmon hat fad. There were numerous and widespread sightings of this fishy fashion. All right, anyway, so there you go. The salmon hat trend. Has anybody heard of the salmon hat trend? It's interesting that the Easter Island statues got the red hats, and then we have this red hat stuff going. Yeah, actually, huh? Red on the head. I kind of joke, though, that the Easter Island thing is like, we basically had something that was a famous statue of bald heads. And somehow they grew bodies and hair, like giant tons of hair, and then they say the hats are actually top knots of hair. So first they grew the little hats, then they said they're top knots of hair. And so basically we got giant bald statues turned into full statues with tons of hair. And somehow nobody, well, we noticed, but a lot of people wrote it off. And just another one of those trolling things, you know? Like, it just is the complete opposite. We can see it. No, almost everybody else is like, nah. Oh, I see what you mean, Jackie. Okay, yes. So those monkeys, some of them, the tails now thin out at the end now. They didn't used to. And I think that's what that was it you was saying about the, they look like the ferns because the fern ends get smaller at the end. Yeah, I agree. The monkeys didn't used to have that curly fern end look on their tails. That some of them do now, but not all of them. Most adults aren't that smart. I don't know. Where's my the latest trend? It's gonna be the I'm trying to think. It'd be like the Sharpie pen trend, right? You know, who knows what the kids will be wearing now? It's probably gonna be something weirder than the Sharpie on the head. I have never recovered from it becoming popular for pants to be falling off your butt because when I was a kid, that was something we joked about. You look like a plumber. You look like a bum. You look like, it was not a flattering look, and now it's like in. So people do wear hats, but not salmon hats. Yes. Now, to be fair, there's a little bit more purpose to hats, at least originally for humans, is it keeps your head warm and when it's cold, and I wear them for that. It keeps the rain off your head. When it's raining, you get a nice wool cap. It it deflects most of the rain. It keeps you warm. So eventually it did spread into some goofy trend, but it had a purpose to start with. Plus, frankly, it is just a lot more feasible to keep a hat on your head when you have hands and string and stuff. Oh, I see what you say. 15-year-olds aren't that smart. I don't want to go there. I do just think the kids now are different. Intellectually, it seems like everybody has lost some of their intellectual power. Almost everybody. I feel like I have definitely lost some of mine. I still had enough left over to have some still, but then intuition is a lot better than it was. And so maybe that's just the direction we're going, is kind of a more intuition path and a more the intellectual path maybe just did not lead where maybe it was a bit of a dead end, at least for where we are right now. So that's one of the reasons I think we might be heading that way. So it can be very frustrating because you're like, that's not logical, blah, blah. And, but I'm starting to think maybe that we just have to change direction, because with just intellectual but no emotion, it seemed like we had gotten so much into the material and the logical and like the selfish, and maybe we had to change direction on that. So what do you mean by smart? Like, I'm like looking at the alpha and zoomers now, and there's a lot of talking. They can't read, they don't listen. But maybe that's just where we have to go, because although they maybe can't read, but they have a street smarts to them. They have a savviness of kind of seeing through some of the baloney of society, and that I haven't seen in previous generations. Like, my generation didn't have it when they were that age. When we were that age, we were pretty naive when we were that age. So, do we really need to be so great at reading? It would be better if they had more attention span, but I think maybe that will develop also with time. So maybe what we're getting now is kids are more in a different direction, and then the intellectual side and the reading comprehension will build a little later. But we have computers, we have spell check, we have all that stuff to kind of help them. So it's easy to be judgy, but also look at the good sides. Maybe what we need is a little more anti-authoritarian. I'm not going to do what you said, because that might be how we're going to break out of the current system, with just like with this kind of attitude, like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Maybe that's what we need to do to get into a new direction. So it's not always going to be pretty, and it's not always going to be smooth, but maybe that's just what we need to do. Well, we drank from water hoses. I noticed the young generation is like, well, you guys are dumb because you drank from water hoses and smelled lead paint. I'm like, I think the number of chemicals and percentage of chemicals and garbage in the current environment is probably a lot higher than just a little leaded paint and water hoses. They say the Giants had red hair. The more, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel like everything's a storyline, and just enjoy it and see where it goes. And I just don't take it as seriously, because today they'll say the Giants had red hair, and tomorrow they'll say the Giants had black hair, and the next day they'll say Giants had blue hair. So I'm just like, okay, we'll just see how the author writes out the story, and I'm not going to take it too seriously. At least they're not eating Tide Pods. Yeah, I don't know. The internet. Okay, so, it's easy for me to laugh at the kids, but I didn't have internet. So if I grew up with internet, we would probably be doing a bunch of stupid internet challenges too, because we were stupid kids too. It's just that we were stupid kids without an internet, and now they do have the internet. So I think a lot of stupid behavior is because of that. Also realize probably the majority of kids did not eat a Tide Pod, but the only ones you're going to see on YouTube are the ones that did eat a Tide Pod. All right, what's this one? Oh, okay. Jackie, I think, found this one. Yeah, Jackie, this is another good find. Jackie's always finding a lot of them. I can't even cover all hers, so I just kind of cover the ones the ones I understand better. She has a lot from like the 90s, like cultural stuff, and she's younger than me, so a lot of stuff I'm like, I have no idea. But does anybody heard of the the famous Apollo 10 floating turds incident? Like, you would think I'd heard of this, okay? But I've never heard of the infamous Poop in Space Revisited, floating turds pop up 45 years. Well, apparently Apollo 10, and Apollo 10 is the one right before the first moon landing, at least currently, that they were doing the orbit, supposedly, whatever. I mean, is it real? I don't know. But this is the official storyline, as they were doing the last trip before the actual going to the moon to make sure that they had worked out all the kinks. And supposedly one of the guys is like, there's a turd floating through the air, and then the other guy says, I didn't do it. It ain't one of mine. It ain't one of mine. So we don't speak like normal English even in 69, because I swear people unless he's joking by saying it goofy on purpose. Cernan says, I don't think it's one of mine. Stafford replies, mine was a little more sticky than that. Throw that away. Throw it away. It's already floating. Like, what are you going to do? I don't know. So apparently the story then was that somehow a turd escaped the turd containment system and floated by, and there's no real information on how it escaped, or just this famous story that I have literally never heard of. Our playgrounds were death traps, concrete and metal. Only the strongest survive. Ghosty 333. Yeah, I know what you mean. I really do. I totally know what you mean. Like, stuff that would not be legal now, that was what we did. Climbing to the top of the literally 2-story high slide, and then being challenged to jump off instead of slide down. And I did that twice. Did not break anything. So as a child, I could jump off a 2-story building. It literally was like 2 stories high. I could jump off a 2-story slide and not break anything. Now, there was sand at the bottom, but you still had to land very carefully. Of course, I was a lot lighter then. That did help. But yes, we did crazy things, and we learned to survive. We had nothing better to do than be crazy. Well, was it crazy? But you learned. You just learned, like, you learned how to use the bus schedule, because if you did it wrong, you'd be stuck there. And calling your parents was the most shameful thing, because you'd failed. You didn't want to do that. We would do anything to try to get home before we had to call a parent, because that meant we did not do our job of taking care of ourselves. We licked the raw cake batter. Oh, come on, everybody still licks the raw cake batter. That's like, you have to do that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, so we survived, like not getting, kidnapped, and we survived. So when I think about it, I'm like, yes, we did dumb stuff. We did dumb stuff. Very dumb stuff. But we survived. I never did that. You never, ate raw cookie dough? Because, I know everybody did that. I found the light socket shocking. I was not that dumb. I have gotten shocked, but it wasn't my fault. Somebody left a wire open without a cap. Yes, I don't even want to know it's unpleasant. I don't know if I call it pain, but I don't want to do it again. I think a lot of people do internet challenges because they have a channel and they're trying to build viewership, and you need to talk about something, and you have nothing to do when you're 12. And a lot of them do cover conspiracy theory and stuff. Monkey bars. Yeah, monkey bars. They still have monkey bars, I'm sure. Exactly. Eating cookie dough is normal. What's wrong with eating cookie dough? Oh, because it's raw eggs, and raw eggs supposedly carry salmonella or whatever. But like literally everybody I know, their entire childhood ate raw cookie dough, and not one of us ever got salmonella. So I'm not worried about it. And I still eat raw cookie dough. If someone's making cookies, I am going to take care of whatever is in that bowl. If you went to college, you had 4 extra years to perfect your stupid stuff skills. You know, if I somewhat agree with you, but I had gotten most of that on my system. Plus, I had to have 2 jobs to pay the rent and all that. So you didn't really have a lot of time for stupid stuff when I was in college. They lied about. I don't know. You know, I like what one person in 5,000 years got salmonella from cookie dough or what. I don't know, but I'm just definitely. I mean, I'm not worried about it. Okay, so Jackie found this one, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so these are bearded dragons. Now, at a time in my life, I looked into getting a pet bearded dragon, but because I thought they were cool, and they were like one of the ones that would come when you call and stuff. Like they were just like, they liked being handled, whereas a lot of the other lizards are like, don't touch me, I hate you, like your average hamster. But these guys could be like friendly pets, and ultimately, I decided I ain't doing it because I just don't have the resources and the time and etc. And of course, then I got a dog, so whatever. But I ultimately didn't do it. But I thought they were cool, and I did look into these, and now I'm looking at them. And Jackie had said some things about these, and one of the things she said one thing that I totally agree with that looks different, but then like I see another thing that I totally see looks different too. So she's got one that I agree with, and I have another one that I'm adding to the story where I'm like, that ain't how they were before. Okay, so anybody know bearded dragons? Like, what up? Okay, so thing 1, I don't remember all these prickly things on their side, and I don't know if we've got like, okay, kitty, you don't have to run off. One of the other strays has come. You good kitty girl. Yeah. This one is my first one that I ever tamed. She's very cute kitty. And she is surprisingly tame considering that she was an adult stray. But she has a very gentle personality, so perhaps that's why. But I was trying to tame the kittens, and I tamed her first. She was the quickest. She doesn't even act like she's a stray or a feral, and she was. Okay, so I don't remember these prickly things, and I don't remember. I know they were called bearded dragons, but I used to always wonder why they were called bearded dragons, because, I mean, I didn't really see. I just thought maybe it's because they have a little bit of extra stuff under the chin, but now they actually like they have this whole beard thing that like sticks out, and they can puff it out, and it's like a real beard looking thing. So it makes way more sense that they're called bearded dragons now, but they weren't before. They didn't have that before. Okay, so that's thing 1 that I personally noticed. And thing 2 was what Jackie mentioned, which I also agree, is these giant ear hole things. I think they're ear holes. There's a hole in the side of their head, basically, and there's no effing way they had that. I mean, it literally looks like they have a rotted out brain now. It's that crazy. It's like so obvious. There's just no way. Okay, there's the ridiculous beard. So apparently they have a display feature where they can puff out their beardy necks, which makes sense by the name. It just wasn't there before, and they have a hole in their head that looks like their brain fell out. This is absolutely insane in here. All right, so I call bull on both of those. I want the American high school experience. I don't know, high school. It's a tough time, that age, for everybody, I think. You're so worried about fitting in and trying to be cool. And then, I used to think the popular people would enjoy it, but then I knew some popular people, and they were just as insecure as all the rest of us. trying to be cool. There was so much infighting in them with this whole I'm cooler than you thing that they couldn't even enjoy the fact that they were popular. And they were even more worried about their appearance than us regular people because their whole raison d'etre revolved around that. So, I don't know. I wouldn't go back to it. I feel like life's easier now because I just realized that a lot of that stuff is completely unimportant. That I thought was so important then, like trying to wear the right clothes and stuff. I think when you're young, like, you haven't really experienced enough life, and this is what you do, and this is how you fit into the clique, and this is how you're cool, and you do it because you want to be, you want to be a good, cool-looking, valuable person. But then sometimes shortly after high school for me, I realized all that crap had changed. It was all just a ridiculous fad. Now they have a whole new stack of silly words and fashion, and everything I thought was important 3 years ago is now uncool, worthless. And at that point I realized this is all silly bull, and so it was easier after I realized that. So I don't know, I think I had more fun in elementary school, really, because you were too young to worry as much about all that stuff being cool, and you would just do what you wanted. I want to climb on the slide. I'm going to climb on the slide. I want to run around the field. I run around the field. I kind of feel like also a lot of that's gone now because there's so many rules, and it's so strict at school that a lot of the stuff we used to do now, it's just squeezed out of school. So I don't know if it's there anymore, that whole experience that we grew up with. It's not there. Yeah, a popularity contest is part of it, but at some point you realize, were they even that popular? Because everybody was always gossiping about them, and they weren't, even though somehow they were on the top dogs, but they weren't liked that much. And, I don't know. You just kind of realize, was it even worth it? All the stuff they had to do to get there? And you're like, for what you get, you just kind of realize, like, not so much. And if I had to do it again, I'd be like, let's just be your own self, So, they used to say, you don't know when you're a kid, but parents used to say, or adults would say, well, it's a tough time going through the teens. And when looking back on that, I understand it a lot better than I did before. Because when you look back, you realize you have so much to learn, and you don't have the perspective of knowing what's important, easily figuring out what's important and what isn't. Okay, so we've had these Sudan pyramids on before, and they were super tiny, and they keep getting bigger and bigger. Like, they were just kind of this size, but now look, like these, now we have these back here. So originally these ones were this size and broken down, and now these are, it's just like, I don't know, it's spawned. These are huge. These are bigger than last time I looked, like way bigger. And the other thing is they've kind of grown these like hallways. So first these things showed up, but they were kind of mashed up on here, and now there's like these hallway things on a lot of them. Like there's the hallway, but no pyramid here. So it looks like the pyramid fell down over here. There's tons more of them. There was only a few, but now, I mean, like, look at this. There's tons. So it's like these things are forming from the ground up. They show up all crumbled, and then they slowly uncrumble. Now, granted, there's some repairs here and stuff, but there weren't originally. But these are old photos, and it's, they almost look like weird little churches now. Okay, so this is the thing. They've got their pyramids, but they're taller, and then they have this hallway. Now we get to see what's inside. So apparently now inside there's this hallway thing, and a look inside the pyramids of Sudan. And see, this is big. I don't know what's going on with all that, but it looks like it'd be pretty weird on a psychedelic trip. Okay, so we got a little bit of hieroglyphics showing up. Who was buried in... No, we're not doing Egyptians, guys. Actually, I don't know if those hieroglyphics were the Sudan ones. I probably should have checked that. El Kuru pyramids. Meroe pyramids. That's the Sudan. I think that those are in... Yeah, it looks like those hieroglyphics are in the Sudan ones. So when these first showed up, these fronts, they were sort of like mashed against the side, and then they just conveniently didn't show the side view. But also, I don't remember seeing the shadow there, so it wasn't... It was pretty clear they were mashed up. But, I mean, look at the halls thing. So I don't know what we're going to get here. Looks like this hall... Now we've got two of them, one here on these, whatever they are, the facade things. One here, then a hall, one here, then another hall. So they're kind of like expanding out like a slinky. Okay, so is this one broken or was it supposed to be flat topped? This is interesting because earlier, even just hours ago, I was really having to work pretty hard to find ones with the hallways, and I didn't see any of these double pillar hallways. What, I don't even know what to call them. Two-part hallways. Even though I looked and looked and looked and looked. Hey, kitty, 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 kitty. So, basically, I'm saying, wait a minute. Those have been upgraded. I mean, for science, I want a different experience. That's it. For science. I'm not sure if it's that fun to go to school anymore. It seems like it's breeding a lot of depression and stuff. But who knows? It might be just everything in life that's contributing to that. What the heck? There's a cat back here. You, come here. There's a cat back here scratching the back of my chair. That's the super friendly one. Come here, bratty kitty. Come here. Come here. Come in range. This is the super friendly one. I become the crazy cat lady. But I don't own any of them. They just visit when they want. This one is the friendliest little guy. And you can pet him all day. You can see how, like, floppy he is. However, the weird thing about him is he'll still act like he's afraid of you at first. Until you pet him a few times, and then he's like, oh, okay. And then he melts into a floppy thing. He'll purr for an hour. So yeah, all these cats, they just visit and then they leave. Depressive realism. I don't think the media, fear porn, and the constant barrage of we're all going to die in 10 years thing doesn't help. But, we had that when I was a kid too. And maybe it's just so much more intense because there's so much more online, concentration of it. When I was a kid, it would be on TV all the time, but then you ran out and you were outside away from all that, and you'd forget about it for hours and hours and hours. And all you were worried about was the bus schedule, whether your bike had a flat tire, don't get lost, how do we get to that faraway mall? Those things were our main concerns for most of the day. I think it's a lot easier for the fear porn to get concentrated now with all the media. It's these cats, I've trained most of them to be friendly, except for the one, and I'm going to get him. So now I have all these, like, friendly cats, but I don't actually really have to take care of them, so it's kind of cool. All right, so this thing, I believe this is also Jackie found this one. She found this weird like, I don't know if it was this exact one, but Osmeterium is like, apparently now these caterpillars have a thing that pops out of their head and emits like stinky stuff to scare off enemies. And it's called an osmeterium, a defensive organ found on all papilionid larvae in all stages. The organ is situated in the prothoracic segment and can be everted when the larvae feel threatened. The everted organ resembles a fleshy forked tongue, not unlike a snake tongue, and this, along with large eye spots on the body, may be used to startle birds and small reptiles. The osmeterial organ remains inside the body in the thoracic region in an inverted position and is everted when the larva is disturbed in any way, emitting a foul, disagreeable odor which serves to repel ants. Cat's making weird noises. So this is the thing. This is the normal, and then this like pops out here, and I guess if you see these, don't touch it because it's got a foul odor. And it's so papilionid larvae, that's for the swallowtail butterflies, large colorful butterflies in the papiloniidae, however you pronounce it. There's 550 species of these, and all of them in the larva stage have this giant fang. Okay, here's one. This is a different style one. Looks like antennas or something, doesn't it? I don't know. I've never heard of this. It's a crazy town. Okay, so there you go. Things. We're at 139 now. These remind me of the H blocks in Peruvian. You're right. There was showing up these kind of like whatever, like door facade things and little slots. They were just kind of standalone, but now they're stuck onto these tall pyramids. What, you don't remember mentioning that thing? Those things? Okay, you said, you were talking about a butterfly larva, though. And it said blah, 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 osmeterium, blah, blah, blah. And then I just looked up osmeterium and I found them on all of them. I'm quite sure you did say that, though. Let's see. Orcas. Yeah, osmeterium. You had it on like the name of the actual butterfly and stuff though. So I just pulled it out. Okay, so we did milk frogs. Almost done. I can go through some of my saved ones. This might be one special for old people. Speaking of high school, 77 to 81, the Trans Am. And I might have had this on before. The Firebird Trans Am. There was this Firebird that design on the tops of these cars. And I have a specific memory of that Firebird pattern, and it just does not fit with what now always existed. If any of you a little bit older people remember the Firebird Trans Am from back in the day, but this is now the pattern that it always had, and I'm like, no. The basic concept is similar, but I remember it being more like fiery, right? This is not very fiery. It's kind of more controlled, and it looks a little more British and stuff. But I just remember like there was like separated bits that were like flames, and it was like, it wasn't this. Okay, then these did come in a couple different colors, but pretty much that was it. And the one that I remember just doesn't exist. This is the Firebird. So I'm like, no. Firebird logo. I'm writing it down so I'll remember to put it in the description for the show. So somebody on here is basically saying something about what exact year this exact color. So they did vary in color. Certain years had different color patterns, but the shape is pretty much on all of them. There's one other that were for a few years, but it had a very similar controlled look. So I don't know if you guys remember what I remember, but it wasn't that. That is not it. That is not the Firebird logo. Yeah, we've had fringe frogs on, I think. Let me just look again. Fringed frogs. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's dissected. Okay. There's so many weird frogs now. That's funny because it's not the one I'm thinking of for fringe frogs. I remember I've seen frogs that actually have fringe on them. I don't even know what this is. That's a euphorbia. It's a plant. Cool. All right. I don't feel like any of these are fringe frogs. Flames. Yeah, it looked like flames. Now it looks like, I don't know. It doesn't look like flames. It looks cool. I like it, but it doesn't have the wild flames. Where's my wild flames on my Trans Am? So part of the reason I even looked that up is because we've got this ridiculous little golf cart, and I was like, let's just make this golf cart like hammed up. And I was like, maybe we can get like a Firebird logo and slap it on there. So I was, those like, you can get these peel logos. And I was thinking, oh, maybe it turns out even the small ones are kind of expensive. So I'm not going to put $40 into it. But I looked up the logo for that reason. And I'm like, wait, where's the logo? I can't find it. And then I look up, that's it. It had flames. Yes, it looked like fire. Chunky, it was not, no, I don't know, it was not chunky for me. Orange flames, more curves. Yes. Now, there was some color variations, but, like, sometimes it's red, sometimes it's orange, but there was, like, flames. You know how flames, when bits are off, there'll be a space and then another one and like that, and it was just more... Yeah, I don't think I saw all those other weird colors. I thought it was always like red, yellow. I could be wrong on that, but the basic pattern is gone. I looked at every year's Firebird logo, and there is not one that has that flamey look. So it could be, hey, maybe on certain years it had a color I didn't see, but the whole flamey logo never existed. I mean, it was a bird with flaming wings, so the wings looked like they were flames. They just don't so much look that way anymore. Not that it's a bad look. It is nice look, but it does not have the crazy flames. All right, this one's weird. I don't know if it's a Mandela, but apparently you can have tongue tattoos now. You can tattoo your tongue, and this guy has a tongue tat. I mean, like, I was flipped out when they did the eyeball tats. I guess this is not as weird as tattooing your eyeball, but, like, really? So, yeah, tongue tattoos. Where have you been all my life? I mean, I've seen these weird people that got weird, implants and stuff, but I've never seen this. Not once. I think I had this one on, but I ran into this thing called voluntary nystagmus. I think that's how you pronounce nystagmus. So nystagmus is when your eyeballs shake. And now you can do it on purpose. I think I might have covered this, but it's next on the list, so there you go. So basically, you can just sit there and decide to make your eyes go blah, 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 and it's genetic. You can either do it or you can't. 8% of college-age children, adults, whatever, kids, could produce voluntary nystagmus. 79% of the sample had relatives could also produce it. Systematic investigation of voluntary nystagmus under a number of stimulus conditions showed that it resembles pendular nystagmus in waveform and certain ocular oscillations such as ocular flutter and opsoclonus in frequency. So they're saying basically, so some people have a problem where their eyes jiggle, and apparently other people can just do it on purpose. It's just 8%. I mean, wouldn't that be a thing when you're growing up? This kid, look what I can do. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, 8% of kids, there's going to be kids using that. But not, I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. Crazy town. I mean, but you can pop your eye out now. Boink, and then stick it back in and you're fine. In my old timeline, you'd be dead if you did that. It's not the color, Jackie. It's the pattern of the flames that it's not flamey. I do agree the color I don't remember, but the flaminess of the pattern is gone. It's very rigid now. That's the main thing with the Firebird logo that I am saying nuh-uh. I might have mentioned that voluntary nystagmus before. I'm not sure. I could have. That's just, I was saying I'm not 100% sure if I've... So here's the thing. I see these, and then I look them up, and then I go, okay, I'll save it for later. So I know that I looked at it, and I looked it up. Now, did I, like, spend a couple minutes talking about it in a show 2 months ago or not? Sometimes I'm not sure. I know I've covered this one before, but it was just weird because this is like, I've been talking about how the Mars does not look red enough anymore. Mars on the left, Earth on the right. It's the same fucking thing. Pardon my swearing. Mars is becoming Earth-like, and it always has been. And some of the images even show like a blue sky, like a lot of them now. At first it was just a few. So I just saved that one because it showed up. I've had this one on also, but I'm going to shoot by it. Vitiligo, look what it can do. So this is a black cat with vitiligo, depigmentation. Somehow he's totally healthy, but he has cool hair. So at any moment you could have cool black hair and then suddenly have cool this hair. And, it's just genetic. All right, this was some weird creature. I don't even remember. Creature. Wait. What's... Oh, yeah, here we go. Helmet jellyfish. Seriously? It looks fake. I'm pretty sure that's not AI, but it so looks like AI. That looks like Creatures of Nightmares, man. It's a brain monster. It's a face hugger. So yes, whatever. I put it on there because it's so bizarre. Helmet jellyfish. I'll put it in. If I write it down now, then I don't have to try to piece it back together later. All right, I'm going to do like one more because we're almost out of time. Look on the show clip. Well, okay, so the Mandela is retroactive in time. So if it changes in the now, it'll change in the Charlie's Angels. You're not going to be able to catch the Mandela because it changes across the whole timeline. Vitiligo in people does not cause hair changes. Ah, not true, not true. It may have once been that way, but it is not currently. In fact, we just covered it with the horse lacing earlier. I'm just going to type in vitiligo only. And then I'll just see if it comes up. Okay, I need to see some hair first. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I know it's there. I just don't know if it'll come up randomly without typing in hair. Okay, it does say only where on the... Can't appear anywhere on the body. I think it has a different name. Okay, here we go. See, her hair is white due to this white skin patch. This one, I don't know if we can say for sure on her, but... Alright, you see here, this hair is also white to go with this white skin patch. When vitiligo first showed up, I agree it was like that. Again, white skin patch, white hair matching. Vitiligo. And also it's the word used for all those piebald animals quite often too. Vitiligo hair. Okay, so see, this person has a hair issue with a patch of... Here again, white. Here again, white. This did not exist in my old timeline, but it's fairly common here where somebody just has like a weird bunch of white at the top. It seems like it's getting more extreme with the thicker patches now. Localized whitening of hair in a child with vitiligo. So it sounds, I think they're calling it leukotrichia when it's in the hair, but it's the same cause. Ooh, I don't think that's real. Good old AI. It's kind of good to cover this because I swear these patches are getting a lot larger than they were. All right, see here, the beard is white along with the patches. All those hair is there turn to match. So when did that show up? Maybe about 2 years ago, we started seeing images where like, okay, well, the eyebrows too, the eyelashes also. The white gray shock of hair. No, it's really not. It's if you look it up, all right, vitiligo hair. I actually looked up vitiligo hair. So they call it leukotrichia, but it's the same thing. It's just when the vitiligo affects the hair. Does vitiligo affect hair? Vitiligo can also affect the hair, causing white or prematurely gray hair. Some people lose some of their eye color and see light spots on the colored part of their eye. Vitiligo hair symptoms. Vitiligo is a condition that causes white patches to develop on the skin. It can also cause patches of hair to turn gray or white. All right, so yes, it does. So vitiligo, they call it an autoimmune disease that just causes depigmentation. But then you can have that and not actually really be sick or have any symptoms other than the depigmentation. And sometimes they say it's genetic. It's not actually albino. It's not inbreeding. It's an autoimmune condition, generally speaking. Amber, I mean, some of that stuff you're saying, that might have been the official lore like 6 or 7 years ago, but it is not now. So yes, they said that Michael Jackson had it. Now, way back in my timeline, I never saw any proof of it, and there was always a lot of like, oh, he's just making that up because he wanted to bleach his hair. But then, like a few years ago, I started hearing like, oh, they proved he did have it when he died. They could see that he had it on his body. Blah blah. It's just like way more common. My black and white cat is getting white spots on her back. Or maybe it's that lacing thing like the horses. Leukotrichia. We just learned about it. Just in time for your cat to show it. All right, so what do we got? We're at 1:58. I think it's time for me to go. Since we're at the end. So leukotrichia, that's a new word for me. Vitiligo, I covered that years ago when it first showed up. And another word they use is piebald. For animals, they use it. And for people, they don't use it. Piebaldism versus vitiligo. Let's just see. Both conditions that cause white or light patches. Piebaldism, a congenital disorder that occurs when certain areas of the skin are missing melanocytes. Piebald patches are usually present at birth. Okay. Have a distinct pattern, are often symmetrical on both sides of the body. Okay. So piebaldism is genetic at birth and apparently is more stable. Caused by mutations of certain genetics. Vitiligo is autoimmune. Okay, so that would probably, the amounts are going to change, come and go. Slightly different pattern. Vitiligo is not dangerous, but it can affect self-esteem. There is no cure for vitiligo, but treatments are available. The cat is making a weird noise over there. Okay, so it's interesting, vitiligo. Basically, you just have weird colors and otherwise you're fine. It's basically what it is. It seems like nobody or very few people, I couldn't find any instances of anybody having any other any serious side effects from it, other than you would have to worry about sunburn because you have no melanin right there. But other than that, so I just think it's really interesting that you have this very striking appearance, but otherwise you're totally fine. Oh, kitty snuck back in. Hi, kitty. Yes, okay, so I think I'm done revisiting one of the early Mandelas I very much was looking at was vitiligo with all the color changes. So it has continued to progress all this time. Always good to check up on things. Thank you so much for coming. You know the drill. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline. Thank you.